is the best of the worst sorts of policy. Whole life is the best of the worst sorts of policy. Let me explain to you why that is. Because at least with whole life, you are guaranteed coverage until you're 100 years old. Okay? Whole life does not lapse unless you stop paying it. Okay? So it is set up on a chassis where between now and age 100, as long as you pay the premiums, the policy is guaranteed to be there. You're going to get a death benefit. So there's two sides to the product. There's life insurance benefit and cash value. Okay, and I'm going to take you through how to kill this stuff in a second. But I want you to understand how the product works. So basically, underwriters have said, hey, if you pay in a certain amount every month over time, right, we can use that money over time, and eventually we'll be able to pay you out and still make money. Because of that, whole life is the most expensive life insurance product you can buy. Okay, so the most expensive monthly premium per $1,000 that exists. Why? Because it is guaranteed not to lapse. The problem with whole life is what? There's multiple ones, but the biggest problem is when you, at age 100, if you're not dead, whatever the coverage was worth, that's what you have also built up in cash. Let's say you had a $100,000 policy. At age 100, if you haven't died, your cash value is also $100,000. They just give it to you and you're done. So let's say you died at age 90 with a $100,000 policy. You would assume that your cash value would be right around what? 90,000. So the problem with whole life is if you die at age 90, right, okay, you get a $100,000 death benefit, 90,000 in cash, the company's going to keep the cash. So you get one or the other. So in that scenario, you've been paying your whole life, right, for a $100,000 death benefit, but what did the company do? The company basically paid you out 90 grand of your own money and 10 grand of theirs. So you've been paying this ungodly premium forever, and every month you pay a premium on whole life, it gets better for the company and worse for the client because the company's using the client's own cash to offset the death benefit. Everybody understand this? Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a whole life policy here, okay? So here's a whole life policy issued in 1990. I'm going to lift this up here so we can see it. So it's whole life, okay, with options to purchase paid up editions. So monthly, if you can see, this premium is $153 a month. For how much coverage? $250,000, okay? And let's see, how old is this person? 24 years old.
There we go.
Yeah, what rating class? She a smoker with diabetes?
No.
She's preferred. Preferred 24-year-old, $250,000, $153 a month. For how long? Forever.
76 years.
Forever. She got to pay that, right? And so she's going to build up cash. Why? Because the insurance, if she bought a 35-year term for $250,000 preferred, what would that cost? Less than 30 bucks a month. So she's basically spending 30 bucks on insurance and putting the other 120 bucks a month in a savings account that the company gets to keep when you die. So you're paying for two things, but you only ever get one thing. Everybody following that?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go and show you some more stuff here. So there's a couple of problems that, I'm going to draw something for you if that's okay. Okay. So this is how I explain whole life to people. Okay. And so you need to get great at drawing this diagram. So I explain to the client, I say, and I draw this upside down, by the way, okay? So I say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, do you mind if I spend a few minutes explaining to you how whole life works? And they say, sure. So I say, okay, well, the first thing is whole life is very, very expensive, okay? And it operates in two sides. There's an insurance side and a cash value side. So you're paying for two things. So Mrs. Client, Miss 24-year-old Janitha Smith. Okay?
Wow.
Uh-oh. Unplug. It's $153 a month. There we go. $153 a month for $250,000 of coverage. So your insurance value is $250K. Okay? So Miss Janitha, listen, there's three little rules the insurance salesperson conveniently forgot to teach you about how this product works. I want to make sure you understand them, and then we'll talk a little further. The first rule is this. For the first 3 to 5 years, every dollar that pays into the cash gets taken as a fee to the salesperson who sold it to you. So John, listen, if you walked into a bank, where do you bank, by the way, John?
Huntington.
Huntington Bank. You've been there for a little while?
Yep.
You like them okay?
Sure.
Good. All right, so let's pretend you walk into Huntington Bank, John, and they say, John, man, we're so glad you opened the savings account with us. We look forward to a lifelong relationship. We're going to have incredible customer service. But, John, just so you know, we won't plan on seeing you for the next 5 years because every time you deposit money with us, we're going to take all of it. Would you open that savings account, John?
No.
You're sure?
Yep.
But you just did when you bought this product.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So the second issue is after the first 3 to 5 years, once you start building cash, the only way you can actually get your cash is to loan it to yourself, payable back to the insurance company at between 6 and 12% interest. So John, whose money is in this account?
Mine.
It's your money. So again, you walk into Huntington, you open a checking account, they say, John, man, we're so excited to have you as a client. It's going to be awesome. But John, if you ever come back here for $1 of this money, we're going to charge you interest until you pay us back. Would you ever open a checking or savings account at Huntington Bank if that's what they told you?
No.
But you just did by buying this. Okay? Now, John, the third problem, way, way, way worse than the first two problems, is when you die, your family will get the choice of the insurance or the cash, but they won't get both. So, John, these are scheduled to be equal at age 100. So at age 100, you'd have $250 in cash, $250 death benefits. So let's say you died at age 80, okay? And you've got $180K in cash, and you die. Your family's gonna get a choice between $250 or $180. So John, what are they gonna choose? $250, right? And at first glance, the average consumer thinks, what's wrong with that, John, right? I bought a $250,000 policy, I got $250,000. What's the big deal? Well, let me show you the math here. So John, they're gonna pay out $250K, and then they're gonna take your $180K. So how much did the insurance company actually have to pay?
7.
So you're paying really $153 a month for $70,000 of insurance. And then they're just paying you out with your own money. Was this explained to you, John, when you purchased this product?
No.
Okay, great. I'm gonna help you get out of that today. So let me go ahead and show you in the policy how that works. So there's gonna be a table of guaranteed values. So remember, problem number one is for the first 3 to 5 years, you don't have cash value. But anybody who understands investments understands the most valuable dollars in an investment are the what ones? The first ones, because they're there the longest. Well, take a look right here. For how long does this guy have zero cash value?
4
This lady,
years.
right? 4 years. Now she's paying in $1,900 a year. And in the 5th year, her cash value is how much? $750. Well, I like it because it's an investment. Tell me which investment you put $2,000 a year in for 5 years and you have $750 is a good investment. I don't know what your definition of good investment is, but that's not mine, right? Okay. So now look at this though, right? At age 65, she's got how much in here? 100 grand in cash. She dies. What happens to that cash? Gone. Gone. So she's paid $2,000 a year for 40 years. So how much has she paid? 80 grand. It's grown to 100. Okay, right? And then she gets to lose it. Okay, so here's a great thing people will tell you, but I like the guaranteed interest that I'm getting because it's getting interest, right? She paid 80 grand. She's got 100. She's made money over time, right? No. Because if you lose all of the money, it doesn't really matter what you made before you lost it. Does that make sense? Okay, it's like a Ponzi scheme almost, right? It's like you're getting paper returns, but you die and you lose the money, so what was your return? The return was infinite negative. You lost every cent. Does this make sense? Okay, so we're showing them there on the table of guaranteed values what's going to happen. Okay, so let's read this. I don't know if you can read this, okay? So these proceeds will include the account amount, any other benefits, riders, etc., right? But you do not receive your cash value. So if you look in the death benefit provision, it'll list out, and you can show this to the client. If the client doesn't believe you, say, let's go look in the policy, right? And it'll list out the death benefit plus any interest unpaid on unused premium, plus any this, plus any that, minus loans, right? But it doesn't say anywhere what? Plus the cash value. It's showing them you do not get ownership of that cash value. Anybody have questions on that? Okay, so let's talk about loans, because loans do a couple of really funny things, and then I'm going to tell you some of the sales pitches really sharp but very deceptive people use to sell this, okay? So here's the loan, right? Okay, so here's one thing it says, they may defer the loan for up to 6 months. So you could say, I want my money, and they could say, fine, what day is it? It's November 29th, we'll pay you May 29th. So if you want your money now, but they don't have to give it to you for 6 months, how useful is that money to you? None, okay? Then it shows you where it's gonna pay interest. I'm sorry, it's so blurry. I don't know why this presentation is so blurry, okay? But it's talking about loan interest. So loan interest is either specified, generally between 6 and 12%, or it's variable based on like Moody's or Barclays or something, which is, again, it's the same rate, it just moves, okay? Now follow me on this. Watch what happens here. Let's go back to this picture. This is what most people don't understand. So if you take a loan from the cash, two things begin to happen immediately. The first thing that begins to happen is it accrues interest against you, like a negatively amortizing loan. So do you have to pay the loan back? No. But if you don't pay the loan back, what happens? It keeps sucking interest off the remaining balance, right? So it's going to start charging you interest immediately, calculated per day against you. So I met a guy, his name was Comer, nicest guy in the world, painter, super nice guy, had a great attitude. He had a universal life policy, so not a whole life, but similar, okay? But here's what he had. So he took out a loan, listen to this, for 10 grand, I'm lying, 11 grand in 1990. His loan balance was $91,000. How did that happen? Well, his loan interest rate was like 14% because that's what it was in the 80s when he got the policy. Interest rates were super high. So this dude took 11 grand and owes 91 grand off an 11 grand loan. Okay, so that's bad. What's even worse about it is the moment you take a loan, whatever you loaned out plus any loan interest gets taken off of the what? The death benefit. So you have $250,000 policy, you loan yourself out the 100 grand, how much death benefit you got left? 150 going down every year by the factor of interest that you don't pay back. Does everybody understand that? So guess what? So every once in a while, one of these wise guys will sell this to a high-end guy by telling him he has a tax-free retirement income. And that's totally true. It is tax-free, but it's not stupid tax-free. Stupid tax is the tax ignorant people pay by not understanding how these things work. So watch this. You take money out, okay? You don't pay any taxes on it. Why? It's a loan. If you refinance a mortgage and take cash out of your house, do you have to pay taxes on it?
Nope.
Why? Because it's a loan that's being repaid at interest. It's not income, it's a loan, right? So it is tax-free because it's a loan. But follow me on this, okay? Watch this math. Let's say you took out a 100K loan today. So you're a 65-year-old. You put all sorts of money into one of these policies as a retirement plan, okay? So you take out 100K and your interest rate is 8%. In 10 years, so 10 years of 8% per year is what percent?
80%.
If it's linear interest, which it's not, it's compounding, okay? But if it were linear interest, if you took a $100,000 loan out in 10 years, how much do you owe? 180. Now, what if you had the money out for 20 years? What's that? Well, it's 160% of the original balance. So you took 100 grand, you owe 260. Okay, so now watch this. You are the wise guy trying to avoid paying, if you're in a super high income tax bracket, 39.5% federal income tax. So your plan to avoid 39.5% was to pay 160% to avoid paying 39%. In what world does this make sense? The answer is no world does it make sense. But guess how many people get suckered into this by that sales pitch all the time? A lot. And guess what it is? It is nothing more than total deception, right? It's a half-truth at its best. Is it tax-free? Totally true. Yes, it is tax-free. Is it in the client's best interest? 0 times out of 1 trillion is it ever in the client's best interest. Well, you don't understand how much money I make. These products are sold with an air of elitism. You're different than all these other common people. You have tax potential because of your income. My favorite is these guys get sold this for tax, thinking they're making 70 grand a year. It's like, what are you talking about? You pay 15% income tax, right? Okay, right? So there's all sorts of scams out there where people are sold half-truths on a whole life policy with a feature they're talking about is correct, but there's implications of it that are not disclosed. You understand that? Okay, so when you meet somebody who says, I've got a retirement account that's life insurance, you say, I need to come over tonight, right? Or you say this, no you don't. Oh yeah, I do. No you don't. Well, it's tax, no. Right? Confidence, you got to speak with confidence, right? That's my favorite, because when they leave you, you've got the seed of doubt that you've sown inside, but some of you don't know your stuff very well, so you're like, he's a doctor, he must know, he's got a guy, right? Maybe there's something I don't know about. No, it all works like this. 100% of whole life all works like this. Everybody understand this? Okay, so let me go back, and we'll look back at this presentation. So, again, going back, you've got these three things, right? You've got no cash value for 3 to 5 years. After you build cash value, you got to loan it to yourself at interest. Your face value is reduced. Now watch this. What if you're a wise guy who's like, well, yeah, but it's still offsetting my taxes. Here's my favorite part of the tax-free pitch. So you take money out, it's a loan, so you haven't paid taxes on it, right? Okay? And your policy is reducing, and guess what happens if you die with a loan outstanding? Now it's no longer a what? A loan, because it's paid back out of the death benefit. So now what happens to the taxes you've been avoiding? It becomes taxable to you. So now not only do you owe taxes, but you also got scammed out all your cash value. You paid interest to get scammed out of your cash value. Okay? This is the worst product known to man, but people sell it out there like it's wildfire because they make big bucks. Everybody understand? Good. So here's the deal, right? So 250,000 husband, wife, right? So they're saying 27 years old, preferred, right? 250,000, 163 a month, 151 a month for the wife, okay? So that's $314 a month. So this is what a normal whole life scenario looks like. Approximate cash value at age 65 is what? 200 grand, but what's that really useful for? Not a whole heck of a lot, right? Okay. So what we do is we give them the 35-year level term, right? Husband, wife, 10,000 on the kids, 72 bucks a month, right? So if you look, the difference is 241 a month for the same coverage, okay? But your coverage is going to end. I want it for my whole life. Okay, well, listen, math genius, we're going to get there, okay? So $241 a month, okay? Invested in mutual funds and a Roth IRA at 10%, which is actually tax-free, by the way. Roth IRA is tax-free. It's a legitimate savings vehicle sanctioned by the IRS for tax-free savings. That is what it's used for, right? Available tax-free at age 65, how much? 1.2, plus they still have their insurance, right? So they got 1.2 in cash, $500,000 in life insurance benefit. That's 1.7 million total value for the exact same monthly amount as they would have $500,000 total value. 3 times the value for the exact same monthly outlay, and that's at 10%. That's over 30 years. You could be a blind dog and you could get 10% in the markets over that period of time, right? You just pick a couple of mutual funds and close your eyes for 30 years. That's what's going to happen, okay? So UL, VUL, and adjustable life. So if it's not whole life and it has a savings component, I don't care what its name is, it's this, okay? So, go ahead.
Does that include IUL?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
What's an IUL? Indexed Universal Life. How is that different than Universal Life? What it's invested in.
Follows the stock market.
Good. So let's talk about this for a second. So Universal Life, Variable Life, Adjustable Life, Indexed Universal Life, Variable Adjustable Universal Life. What's the only difference? Where the cash value is being invested. A Universal Life, the company that has the money is investing the money, and a variable life, the money's being invested in actual mutual funds. You understand that? Okay? The only difference in all the names is what's happening to the cash value. Okay? But guess what matters about what happens to the cash value? About this much, because the policy just sucks. Okay, and I'm explaining it to you in a second. So here's how you kill this. Okay? You show them the exact same presentation, that thing go, right? You show them that exact same presentation that we looked at before, this guy, right? So you say, so you got all the way through to, this one is, you're gonna lose the cash value, right, okay? And by the way, Teresa, there's one more even worse part about it, okay? And that's that the cost of the insurance is gonna go up every year, but the premium you're paying is not. So eventually you won't pay enough and all your savings will go to pay for this, and then the policy is gonna lapse and you're gonna have no insurance and no savings. How does that sound to you? Was that explained to you when you bought this product? No. So remember, whole life does not lapse unless you stop paying for it, right? Guaranteed. Everything else has no guarantee of how long it's gonna last, okay? Why? Because the insurance side inside of the product is actually going up every single year inside of the product. Now you're gonna tell that to the client, they're saying, my premium stays exactly the same. That's right. The premium stays the same. The cost of the insurance is rising, right? Until you're too old to do anything about it when it finally overtakes you. So let me show you this. So the first place you go when you're dealing with any one of these sort of products is you look for the lapse statement. The company is required to put some sort of disclaimer in there that says, this is not gonna be around for as long as you think it is. So let's go and look at that. So here's a client, 36-year-old male, preferred, $1.5 million policy. This is a big policy. What's his monthly premium? We'll get to there in a second. Okay. Monthly premium what? $750 a month.
Wow.
Okay. $750 a month for $1.5 million on a universal life. Now this guy thinks, but Jeff, I'm guaranteed this for the rest of my life. True or false? False. Right? I get a tax-free retirement. True or false? False. Okay. So let's go back and look at it. So watch this. What does this say? This policy is a what? A legal contract between the owner and us. Read your policy carefully. Guess how many of your clients did that? 0. But that's not what they said. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Client, would you mind reading this line? Read your policy carefully. So I appreciate what he said, but if you have to go before court, guess what they're going to ask you? Did you read this? Because it's in it. And you're going to say what? But he told me. And guess what they're going to say? Sorry, it doesn't matter if he said prove it. You signed this. You agreed to it.
How are some of these court cases holding water?
What do you mean?
Some of the some of the UL cases that are out there. So there's all sorts of companies getting sued for this, and they're class action lawsuits, right? And they're just settling instead of fighting. Yeah, they're settling for like $700-800 million, right? From people who said I was taken advantage of, right? But watch this, okay?
Right.
So flexible premium adjustable insurance policy. So that's called a universal life, okay? And it says this. Give me 1 second. Here's where we're looking at. Okay, so let's go and look at some more of this stuff. So death benefit option what? A. So now here's a difference. Whole life, you never can get the cash value, right? Okay, but on a universal or variable life, it is possible that you could get both the death benefit and the cash value. You just have to buy a rider at an additional cost to get both. So they're already charging you a goo gob of money, and then you can pay extra for the privilege of keeping the money you paid them, okay, into your savings account, okay? So this is not one of those. A death benefit option A means one or the other. A death benefit option B means you get both, but it's 30% more expensive than this. So an option B would be what? $1,000 a month, $1,100 a month for the same exact product. And for that $300 a month, they would buy the right to keep their own savings. Okay, you following that? All right. So insurance coverage, $1.5 million, monthly $750 a month. Now take a look. What's the policy loan rate? 6.5%. Okay. So now watch this. The same thing happens, right? First 3 to 5 years, how much cash do they have? None, right? So check this out. Policy year 1, policy year 2, policy year 3, policy year 4. How much do they have in cash value?
Zero, right? And in year 5, they have $464. So they've been paying $9,000 a year for 5 years. Do the math. How much money is that? $45,000, and at the end of year 5, they have $400. Right? But don't worry about it. It's going to catch back up. It's going to be incredible. Well, let's go ahead and read this. So this is the lapse line. Based upon the minimum guaranteed interest rate, and I would circle the word guaranteed. I'd say, client, what does that say? Guaranteed. Of 3%, the maximum cost of insurance and the maximum expense charges, this policy will remain in force until when? May 19th of when? Now, these guys were nice. They gave a date. Very few of them give a date. They make you go in and calculate it out. So now let's go back, okay? So provided 1, the plan periodic premium is paid each time when due, and 2, no changes are made to the policy. So as long as you pay on time, you don't change anything, this policy will stay in force till 2030. Let's go and see, when was this applied for? 2002. How long is this guaranteed?
28 years.
28 years.
Wow.
So they're paying $750 a month for a policy they think is going to last forever, that's going to have all this benefits and whistles to it. And what is it guaranteed for?
28 years.
Okay? 28-year term. So watch this. So then the lovely people at the insurance company give us a math equation similar to a 9th grade algebra problem. Okay? And so here's what they're going to do. So number one thing you do is you find the lapse statement and you have the client read it. Say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, would you read this statement? And they're reading it and say, what does that say? Well, it says it's going to lapse in 28 years. Okay, wonderful. Let me show you why that is. Remember how I told you the cost was going to go up every year? Let's go look at that, Mr. and Mrs. Client. This says what? Table of, and I would circle guaranteed maximum monthly cost of insurance per what? Per thousand. So they give you these, they won't just tell you this is what your cost is. They make you do a 2-step math problem. Okay? So at age 36, when he got it, what's his rate? 0.0766. What is that?
7.5 cents.
7.5 cents. Per what? Per thousand. Per what? Per month.
Per month.
Okay? The maximum what? Monthly cost. So how many thousands do you have when you have a $1.5 million policy?
1,500.
You have 1,500 thousands. So how would you find out what his cost of insurance is? You would take 0.0766 times it by 1,500, and that would show you how much per month his actual insurance part's costing. So they did this here, right? And then so here's the 0.0766. Here's the 1,500 thousands, and then this is what? 12 months. So he's showing them a yearly. So he's paying $9,000 a year, and in year 1, his cost of insurance was what? $1,378, which means approximately $7,700 didn't get paid to insurance, but it didn't go into the cash either. Where did it go? Woo! For how many years?
5.
That's a nice commission. $7,700 a year for 5 years on a $750 a month deal, right? Somebody getting hosed there. It ain't the insurance company or the insurance agent, right? So I say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, let me show you what's wrong with this. What do you notice about what's happening to these numbers? And I wait for them to say they are going up. Wonderful. So let's go and look at age 59. At age 59, it's $1, so $1 so 1.0042, right? So it's $1 and almost a half a cent a month. Well, how many thousands do we have? 1,500. So if you take $1 and you times it by 1,500, how many dollars is that? 1,500 a month just to pay for the insurance. There's a problem, and the problem is we're only paying how much per month?
$750.
Mr. and Mrs. Client, do you understand how this policy is going to lapse? Because you owe twice what you're paying. So, Mr. Client, where do you suppose they're getting the other $750 a month that you owe? Back from your cash. Well, how much time can you take $1,500 or $1,000 a month out of something that only has a couple $1,000s in it? Not long, right? So you can go and see. So they're doing all these calculations. But look, at age 66, the cost of insurance for that year is $36,900. But they're paying $9,000, so they're operating at a negative deficit of $25,000 a year, and it just keeps going up. Y'all understand? So what happens is you're way
overpaying in the beginning. They steal all your cash for 5 years, then they let it start piling up, and then they pay themselves back with it 20 years down the road when they sneak your insurance rates up based on this page. Did everybody understand that? And they told you they were going to do it where? On this page, which you didn't read. Right? Okay? They told you this is coming. They gave you the math, but you did nothing about it, and you took the guy's word. Well, unfortunately, that's cost you a ton of money. Right? Everybody following that? Uh-oh. Let's go back here. Where am I at? Here we are. Okay. Let's take a look at this. This is my favorite. Okay? So if that wasn't bad enough, and reason for them to switch is that your policy is going to last for 28 years and then cannibalize itself, okay, is take a look at these expenses, okay? So there is a maximum charge of $7.50 per month per policy. So he's paying $750 a month. What percentage is $7.50? Nope. 1%. That's a nominal investment fee. That's most investments charge you 1%. Plus there's a maximum percentage of premium for all policies years equal to what? 2%. So 1 plus 2 is now 3. There is an additional maximum percentage of premium charge for the first policy year equal to what? 48%. Okay. But now watch it. So that was just for the first year though. Okay. There's a maximum expense charge of 5 cents per month for each 1,000. Well, how many thousands are there?
1,500.
So what's 1,500 times 5 cents? 75 bucks. Which is how much percent of $750? 10. So you have 1 plus 2 plus 10 is how much? 13. Okay? So tell me what investment succeeds paying 13% a year in fees? How are you going to make money paying 13% a year in fees on your investment? But this is a great retirement account until it totally cannibalizes itself because of the $750 you paid the first year, $1,300 in life insurance costs, but then you paid another $1,000 or $1,500 bucks in fees, and you pay that every single year. You can never get ahead. Does this make sense? Then you get a surrender charge once you figure out that they're scamming you, and you try to get your money. And that surrender charge could be what? Okay? So in year 1, if you decide you want to be done, guess what they charge you? 27 grand. Now you don't have 27 grand in there to give them, so they send you a bill? No. You just lost all your money that you put in there. But how long is that surrender charge for? 15 years. 15 years. Now let me help you because every once in a while you're going to meet a guy who says, I don't want to pay a surrender charge. I'm not going to lose any more money. Let me just wait till I'm done with this and then I'll switch. Let me explain the math, okay? So let's say he's in year 5. He wants to wait till year 15, so his surrender charge goes down from $27,000 to 0, right? So he's going to save $27,000 in a surrender charge, which by the way, how much cash did he have in there after year 5? $400. So is he really going to save 27 grand, or what's he going to save? 400 bucks. Because that's all he's got in there to take, right? But let's just say he had that much money in there. Let me follow you with the math here. Okay, so you're going to save 27 grand, but you're going to have to keep paying 9,000 bucks a year for the premium for the next 10 years in order to save the $27,000 surrender charge. So follow me on this, because I'm going to show you some numbers here in a second. So here's our solution to this. 36-year-old preferred on a 30-year level term, which, by the way, his coverage was guaranteed to last how long? 28 years. Longer or shorter than 30 years? Shorter. So we're going to guarantee him coverage for how much longer? 2 years, level, plus a decreasing benefit till he's 100, okay? And his monthly premium is what? $173 a month for the same rate class, okay? So he's paying $750 a month. Primerica is going to charge him $174 a month. So that's a monthly savings of what? $576. Let's go back to the surrender charge. I don't want to pay a surrender, Ian. Let me wait 10 years. So that's fine. So you're going to save 27 grand in surrender charge, but you're going to pay $6,000 a year too much for 10 years.
Well, so $6,000 times 10 is how much? 60,000. Now, John, I appreciate you don't want to lose money, but please tell me how spending 60 grand to save 27 grand is good. Everybody following that? Because that's what you're going to overpay for the next 10 years to avoid getting hacked by these, jackals as they try to get you going out of the thing, right? Okay, everybody following that? So our concept of buy term and invest the difference says what? Let's pay the 174, let's take the 576 you're already saving. Check this out. If you just put the money in the S&P 500 and blindfolded yourself, okay? This was from January 30th, 79 to December 31st, 2009, which was after the big what?
Crash.
The big crash, so there's the crash. So this doesn't include all the up that's happened the last 6 years. But if you just stuck your money in an index fund for 30 years and you closed your eyes, your $574 a month is now worth it's hard to see there, but it's 1.32 million. 1.32 million. Okay? So with us, you got the same $1.5 million death benefit. You got it for 2 years longer. And we gave you 1.3 million in cash that's yours, that you can do whatever you want with. If you saved it in a Roth, it would be tax-free. Or 2 years prior, you would have zero cash and zero insurance if you go with the other plan. Which sounds better? $1.3 million in cash plus $1.5 million of insurance, or zero? Unfortunately, 1 out of 10 still wants to think about it. They want to go back to the same jackals that sold them this and be sweet talked about why it's not like that. But it is like that. It's always like that. But yours doesn't work that way. No, they all work that way. Right? They're sold with an air of elitism about it. Everybody following this? Okay, good. So, let's go through questions. We got a little bit of time. We got 10 minutes.
I've seen a couple of times where a policy will actually have a couple of different types of insurance together.
So it's a whole life with a term rider.
It's like 25.
Those are easy to kill. Super easy to kill.
Okay.
So how do you do it? The answer is total cost.
Okay.
So she's saying Northwestern Mutual is the worst at this. They do it all the time. So they got a $25,000 whole life policy for $700 a year, and then they got a 20-year term for $300 a year for $500,000. Right? So how do you kill it? You have $550,000 and it costs this much. I'll get you the same $550. It'll cost this much. Right? Any questions?
I know you and I jousted about this before, but I don't recall how you answered this. But typically on a whole life policy, the dividends they're paying and the cash value after 26 years will pay the premiums. So if you stop
If they stop paying it.
If they stop paying their premiums after 26 years, the death benefit will remain level until they die.
Correct.
No cash value.
Right.
How do I sell around that?
Okay, so that's super easy. So what he's saying is they build up enough cash, right, that the interest, it's not really interest, but let's call it interest for conversation. The interest will pay the premium, so they could stop paying it. It's called a what? A paid up whole life. Okay. But are they making payments to the policy?
Yes.
Yes, they are. Are they making it out of their checking account? No. What account are they making it out of? Their cash value account. But they're still paying for it. They're still paying a premium. They're just using the interest to pay the premium, number one. And when they die, what happens to the nest egg that's in there? It gets taken. So there are two payments. So they're generating enough interest here to pay the payment. So whatever that is per year, right? Whatever you were paying, $2,000, we're assuming it's at least that, right? So you're paying $2,000 out of your investment earnings, plus you're sacrificing the $50,000 you have in cash. So your two payments are $2,000 a year in lost interest and $50,000 in basically like deposited equity, a down payment that's going to be surrendered. Right? You follow that? So they're making two payments. So I understand you have to pay for ours out of your pocket, okay? But ours is $1,000 instead of $2,000, and you get your $50,000. So you're paying $2,000 plus losing your $50,000. Now you pay $1,000, keep your $50,000. Jeff, do you have any questions about why that's good? Right? You just got to help them understand they are paying for it. It's free. Is there anything free in life? No. Smiles and hugs. Okay? But other than that, there's very little that's free in life. They are paying. You just got to understand how the insurance company's weaseling them, right? So they say, all right, look, you gave us enough, we'll just earn interest with your money, we'll let you keep the insurance, and then we'll take your money when you die. Any questions on that? Those are easy ones to kill, Jeff, and the reason they're easy to kill is they've got a substantial amount of cash in there if there's enough dividend to pay the premium, right? Which means there's a substantial lump sum they're gonna lose. So how do you do that, right? So I could just go, like, let's go back and use this as an example. So let's say, remember this first one, right, the whole life? So let's say at age 65, there's 100 grand in there. So the dividend's enough to pay the $2,000 a year. You say, I'm not paying anymore. I don't make any payments. It's free. Why would I cancel this? Well, it's not free. Your payment was $153 a month, so you're at least getting $1,600 in dividends, plus you lose the 100 grand. Now watch this. So I'm just gonna go to MoneyChimp. Let's go to MoneyChimp here. So you go to moneychimp.com, it's just a financial calculator. Okay, I hit calculator. I say, all right, let's say, Jeff, you do what I'm telling you. We're gonna start paying $1,000 a year for the insurance out of our pocket, okay? But we get to keep your 100 grand, okay? Now, Jeff, you're gonna pay.
It's $1 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get your 100 grand. We're gonna put it in a safe harbor. We're gonna put it somewhere where it's not gonna get destroyed by the life insurer when you die. Okay. Now, Jeff, you're 65. This policy goes to 100. So let's just look 30 years from now when you're 95, right? Okay. So 30 years from now, we're not gonna put any money in it. 30 years from now, Jeff, let me ask you, what do you think is a reasonable interest rate that you feel like you could earn over the next 30 years?
8.
Okay. I let them tell it to me because when they say it's 100% true, okay? When they say it's 100% true, when I say it, they what? Doubt every word. So I ask them, what do you think is a reasonable interest rate? Are they gonna argue with themselves? Right, okay? So 30 years, we don't put another dollar into it at 8%, how much money they got? So Jeff, I appreciate that you're not paying the insurance, but you are paying the insurance because your insurance is worth what? 250 grand. But you're gonna have what? $1 million. So how much are you paying, Jeff, for that insurance? You're paying 750 grand in lost revenue to your family to keep that policy. So I know it appears to be free, but Jeff, how many things do you know are free? It's a pretty good trick, huh? Okay, good. Let's go ahead and switch you out so you get the $1 million instead of the insurance company. Right? What if you took, let's just do this. And this is not correct math, but it's simple math, okay? So let's say we wanted to take $2 grand a year to pay the premiums out of the 100 grand, which is what's happening now. So, or $1 grand a year to pay our premiums, right? So 1 grand out of 100 grand is what percent? 1%. So let's say, all right, you're getting 8, but we're taking out 1% a year to pay the premium. So you still have no payments out of pocket. Fair? By the way, you can set up an investment account that will send money into their checking account every month that can pay the premium for our policy. So you can create the exact same thing, but watch this. So instead of 8%, what are you actually getting, Jeff? You're getting 7 because you're taking 1 to pay the premium, right? Because you don't like paying the premium. So I'm gonna help you not pay the premium either. So now you have what? 760 grand, which is still 500 grand more than you have with your current policy. Jeff, is there any reason you would like to not have this 500 grand?
Are payment policies supposed to go to 0 at age 100?
Nope.
Like the cash value? Okay.
No, it doesn't eat it out. It puts it all the way up to the same thing. There's enough dividend going on generally that it will keep growing the policy cash value.
Ian, in your situation here, though, you're asking them to pull the cash value out, can the policy, and then invest it.
Correct.
Then there's no more death benefit.
No, we bought an equivalent policy for $1 grand.
Oh, we bought an equivalent. Okay.
And then I took the grand a year and I took it out of the cash value, just like it's being taken out now. Right? Does that make sense? So now they have the exact same coverage, plus they got 100 grand that's not going to go away if they die, plus that 100 grand is going to grow to 700 grand, which is 3 times what the stupid insurance would have been worth. Right? Okay, so this is math, you all. So there's no such thing as a permanent policy that is better than a term and invest the difference policy. It just doesn't exist. It's math. I don't care what bells and whistles you try to put on it, how you finagle it, what sort of slimy sales pitch or unique thing you can put in it. It's just bad. It doesn't work, right? It's how it's built. Everybody understanding that? There's so many great schemes out there, Mike. And so there's a couple of schemes you got to watch out for. The bank on yourself. Have you heard of this one, right? Okay. This is starting to come about where these shysters will say, hey, let's do like the billionaires do and bank on yourself, right? And so you put money in and then loan it back out to yourself, right? Without having to pay income on it or whatever. It's like, but so how do you beat that? Well, you're paying loans, dum-dum, right? So look, so you loan it back out to yourself, and yeah, you didn't pay taxes, but you paid stupid tax. You paid 2 or 3 or 4 times as much in tax as you interest as you avoided paying in taxes. So that's an easy one. My next favorite one is there's these wonderful people on the Christian radio station in town that are college planners. Have you heard these guys yet?
Oh, yeah.
My favorite is to call those guys up and troll them, right? And it's awesome. I'm like, did you tell them this on your radio show? And they always say, why don't you come in for an appointment? Like, did you tell them this on your radio show? So they're college planners. And their idea is, if you make too much money, you're not eligible for federal student aid. So let's stick all of your money in a whole life policy because the government doesn't count it as an asset. I wonder why that is. Why is the government not counting that money as an asset? Because you just put it in something that's going to delete all of it if you died. Right? You just turned your asset into a death benefit, essentially. Right? And that's their common sense is, so your kid can get free money from the government, you should hide your assets in whole life insurance, which does a really good job of hiding the asset because it makes it just disappear. You now no longer have an asset, right? So you're going to put $400,000 in a lump sum into one of these things, never be able to get it back out, so your kid can get 20 grand free from the government? You are a special sort of stupid if you put money in that, right? But they prey on ignorant people that just don't know. Sounds good to me, man. These guys are smart. That's my favorite. These guys, they got these, and they're call for our book, and we'll help you plan all of your college and how to do this. You know what they want? They want that big lump sum from your IRA going into the whole life. They want all your bank account assets going into the whole life. You know what they get paid on a single premium whole life? What do they get paid, Jeff? You used to sell that bull crap.
I sold a lot of it. They get paid a lot.
Like, what's a lot?
It's been a while since God, I want to say it's 17-18%.
That's lovely.
So you get a guy to put $1 million in this. What you making? $180,000. Which, by the way, if he decides the next day he wants out, who gets to pay that $180,000? He does as a what? Surrender charge. Isn't that crazy? The legal maximum of an investment sales charge is what? Huh? 5 3/4. 5 3/4 on an A-share mutual fund. So instead of selling them an A-share mutual fund and getting their cut of 5 3/4, they sell them a single premium whole life and get triple or quadruple the commission off an investment. That's not an investment because it's life insurance. It's not being regulated unless it's variable generally, unless it's a variable product by the Securities Exchange Commission.
I had a referral call me the other day and say they want whole life insurance over the phone. What do you say to them to set the appointment?
Say, wonderful, I'll see you soon. And then you get there and say, you're trying to get money no matter what, right? Okay, great. So there's 2 ways to do that. There's whole life, which is not a good way. It's like, think about if we were driving to LA, that's like the horse and buggy. And then there's buy term and invest the difference, which is a car. Let me explain to you the difference, and you can take your pick of which one sounds better. And you just show them, right? Buy term and invest the difference versus whole life. Right? Because do they want life insurance? No. What do they want? They want what? The money when they die. So does it matter if it comes from life insurance or an investment as long as it's there? No, it does not matter where it comes from. And they're just going to get 3, 4, 5, 10 times more if it's coming from an investment than from life insurance. Everybody following that? What other questions you guys got on this stuff? Y'all staring at me like, go ahead, Marie.
Term with return of premium.
So we went over that, I think, a little bit last week. Okay, but return of premium basically is term insurance 50% more expensive, so they get all their premiums back at the end of the deal, right? And again, to an average bystander, seems like a good deal, right? If you don't die, you get all your money back. It's free. Well, it's not free. You basically overpaid, gave the insurance company an interest-free loan for 20 or 30 years, right? So you can show them, again, on MoneyChimp, right? So let's say you had, let's use that $1.5 million example. Primerica's going to charge $174 a month. 50% more than that would be what? $230 a month. So the same $1.5 million would be $230 a month as a return of premium, right? And so $230 a month times 30 years is what? Who can do a calculator real quick?
230 times what?
230 a month times 12 months times 30 years. So that if they bought the same $1.5 million and a return of premium be how much? 82,800. So that's what they would get back from the return of premium if they don't die and they cancel the policy.
How much?
They have to cancel it. 82,800, which is their premiums. Now watch this. So let's say we took $75 a month. Should be more than, it's like 80 bucks a month. So we're gonna start with 0. And we're gonna take the $80 a month you don't have to spend on return of premium, right? Which is $1,000 a year. Okay. And 30 years from now, if it grows at 7%, how much money do you have? 100 grand, plus you still have your insurance. So would you like no insurance and 80 grand or life insurance and 100 grand? It's your pick. Which one do you want? No, you have a question? Or are you just scratching your head?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
A few months back, I saw a policy that said flexible premium adjustable life insurance.
Yep, it's a universal life.
Okay.
Yep, remember, so this is, that's what this one is. Yep,
I took a bunch of photos of it, so I'm gonna go back and look at it.
yep, where is it here? There it is.
Otherwise known as FPAL.
But they thought that it was
F your
term.
pal.
Yeah. So what is this? So what did that say, right?
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, flexible premium, adjustable life.
But they had a really low premium.
Yep, so it might be stripped out. So stripped out UL, they don't fund the cash value. They just run the cost of insurance. And they sell it as a term product.
Right.
But it's not term, because if it was term, it would say what? Term. Not flexible premium adjustable life.
But it works identically to a term.
No, it does not work.
it
like-
doesn't.
No.
Well, the
Premium
cost is
goes up.
increasing, but it stays level. Your premium stays level for the 20 years,
No,
right?
there's no guarantee.
Yeah, no guarantee.
Okay.
It's basically an annual renewable term.
Right.
With the ability to possibly pay 3 or 4 or 5 times what you would be
You
paying
miss
for term
one
insurance.
payment by accident, and it goes right back into.
Done. Yeah, it is. It's sold as term. It is not term. There's 7 pages of requirements to be met. That as long as the company doesn't change anything, it might work like a 20-year term or however it's being sold, but it is not term. If it was term, it would say what? If it was guaranteed, it would say what? Guaranteed. Wouldn't that be easy to put that on one page, 20-year term level guaranteed? Wouldn't that be easier than writing 17 pages of how it might not be guaranteed? And that's how you close that, right? Listen, Jeff, I appreciate that it's $30 a month less, right? But let's say we had 2 boats, right? I call it the boat close, right? Okay, and we had one boat was $1,000, the other boat was $2,000. It was the same boat, same model. Which boat would you buy if you were buying on price only? You'd buy the 1,000, right? Now, what if I told you, Jeff, in 7 years, one day randomly, your whole family's going to die because the boat sinks while you're on it? Now, if you bought the $2,000 boat, I was willing to guarantee you that for the 20 years you owned it, it would never sink. Now, which boat would you buy? The $2,000 boat, right? Okay, great. You're sure. You're positive. I couldn't get you to pay less for a product that's not going to work right. You're positive. That's all we're doing here, buddy. I'm guaranteeing you for 20 years this thing's not going to sink on your family here. Who knows when, but this thing's going down. So what's the problem with paying a little extra to make sure it's done right? You're already paying this to make sure it's done wrong. Let's pay it this much more to make sure it's done right. You good? Awesome, great. Let's go ahead and go forward. Other questions?
Would you use a similar illustration or comparable for somebody who has a term policy and they have it and it's got 15 years left and
Yep.
a great policy, it's $75, ours is gonna be 80 for the two of them.
Yep.
And they're like, well, ours
Is it a
still
great
cheaper.
policy, Teresa?
No.
No, okay, so good. So let's make sure you're speaking them to them the right
No,
things.
they're thinking it's a great
Sure,
policy, I'm just
but
saying,
it's
they're
not,
saying
right?
there's
'Cause it's gonna
nothing
blow
wrong
up.
with it, exactly.
So how do you kill other term insurance? This is another talk, right? You ask them in 15 years, are you 100% positive, Teresa, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you're not gonna need $1 of this insurance? If they say no, the sale is done. Because then you say, are you gonna pay this in 15 years? You show them the renewal, and guess what they're gonna say? No. Okay, well that's a problem, right? Because that's coming. So for $5, we can fix that problem. Would you like to fix it for $5 now or $1,000 a month then? Because we gotta fix it.
Okay. I know that one.
Okay, perfect, right? And if they're like, yeah, but what if it's $30 a month more expensive? Yeah, but then I just ask them the boat. Say, look, you know this boat's sinking in 15 years. You're on it. You can't get off the boat. It's gonna sink in 15 years. Why not get on a boat that's not gonna sink? It's $30, right?
So what if they say at the end of the term they're not gonna need any more insurance?
So how do you do that?
Stack it.
So you
Stack it.
custom stack it. If they say in 15 years I need 0, and they have $1 million today, well, guess what? They're not gonna need $1 million in year 14, day 364, and then go to 0 the very next day. If they literally need 0, their life insurance line going from 0 to what they have now is gonna kind of do one of these, right? But they bought this. So they have this whole chunk out here that they're telling me they don't need. They're telling me they don't need it, right? No such thing as I need $1 million, 0 the next day unless you won the lottery. Right? Yeah, so why not, if that's the case, Josh, and you're okay not having insurance here, you probably didn't need all of it the day before, right?
Right.
And the day before that, right? Okay. So for a number of years, you've actually probably needed less if you actually need 0, right? Wouldn't you agree? Josh, do you like overpaying for things you don't need? Okay, me neither. Great. So what if I could show you a product that would more accurately reflect your need for life insurance and save you money? So you pay less and it works just like what you need. Wouldn't that be better than paying for something you don't need? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get you started. And I show them that. Yep. So guys, listen, if you're good at this stuff, you sit at a kitchen table, I don't understand how you don't close, right? I mean, it's in their best interest. If it's in their best interest, sooner or later, if you're good enough at communicating why that is, they're going to move forward with you, right? These guys are taking a long time up there. There we go. All right, y'all. We'll see you soon.